Good morning and welcome to another episode of Teaching Math. Today I will teach you how to simplify powers. It's a pretty easy paragraph with like terms, powers of powers and the power of a product. So let's start the intro and get ready to learn some new skills. Last year, I already told you the basics of algebra. One of those things was that when you multiply two x's, you write it as x squared. This is a power, with x called the base and the 2 being the exponent. You can also pronounce this as x to the power of 2. So, what do you think is the simplified form of this line? If you thought x to the power of 3, then you are correct. And then it wouldn't surprise you that x times x times x times x times x is equal to x to the power of 5. I could rewrite this line into x to the power of 2 times x to the power of 3, meaning that when I take the product of two powers, I have to add the exponents. Here are a few examples to show you how to work with them. But we can also add more letters and numbers into the mix. I could have 4x to the power of 2 times 3x to the power of 7. To simplify, I must add the 2 and the 7, but I must multiply the 4 and the 3. So our answer is 12x to the power of 9. And minus 2a to the power of 3 times 3a times 5a to the power of 2 becomes minus 30a to the power of 6. We multiply the minus 2, the 3 and the 5 to receive minus 30, and we add the 3, the 1 and the 2 to receive 6 as the exponent. When multiplying different letters, keep the exponent with their original letter. So a to the power of 2, b to the power of 4 times a to the power of 7, b to the power of 6 becomes a to the power of 9, b to the power of 10. And 9x to the power of 2, y to the power of 4 times minus x to the power of 4y becomes minus 9 x to the power of 6, y to the power of 5. Besides multiplying, we can also add and subtract powers, but only if they are like terms. You know that 3a plus 4a is equal to 7a. So 3a to the power of 5 plus 4a to the power of 5 becomes 7a to the power of 5. When adding or subtracting letters, the exponents don't change, only the amount. Which means that 8x to the power of 2 y to the power of 7 minus 3x to the power of 2 y to the power of 7 turns into 5x to the power of 2 y to the power of 7. But 4a to the power of 7 plus 5a to the power of 6 cannot be simplified because the letters are not perfectly the same. So remember, multiplying is always possible, but you can only add or subtract if the terms are the same. And when they do, they stay the same. Before I continue with the next part, two exercises to test your skills. The first one is minus 7x to the power of 2 y to the power of 4 times 2x to the power of 6 y to the power of 3 plus 2x to the power of 3 y to the power of 6 times 8x to the power of 5y. And the second one is x to the power of 5 times x to the power of 2 plus x to the power of 4 plus x to the power of 7. You know what they say, go big or go home. I'll give you a moment to try it for yourself. The first answer is 2x to the power of 8 y to the power of 7. And as you also get points for the intermediate steps, here they are. The first part becomes minus 14 x to the power of 8 y to the power of 7. And the second multiplication becomes 16 x to the power of 8 y to the power of 7. And then we add the 2 and receive 2x to the power of 8 y to the power of 7. For the second exercise, we first have to multiply out the brackets using these arches. This gives us x to the power of 7 plus x to the power of 9 plus an additional x to the power of 7. The x to the power of 7's are like terms, so we end up with 2x to the power of 7 plus x to the power of 9. Next up, powers of powers. This is what we call a power of a power. X to the power of 6 to the power of 3. This means x to the power of 6 times x to the power of 6 times x to the power of 6. And we just happen to have learned what this is. X to the power of 18. This intermediate step is not necessary for these kinds of exercises. So if you see the exercise a to the power of 3 to the power of 2, you can immediately write the answer next to it. A to the power of 6. And p to the power of 10 to the power of 7 becomes p to the power of 70. So simply put, to take the power of a power, multiply the exponents. The powers of a product are quite similar in that regard. A to the power of 3, b to the power of 4 to the power of 2 is one such example, because this here is a product. To simplify a to the power of 3, b to the power of 4 to the power of 2, you would need to multiply the 3 and the 2 and the 4 and the 2. Our answer is a to the power of 6, b to the power of 8. And when you see the line 4x to the power of 7 to the power of 2, you have to take the square of 4 and the square of x to the power of 7. So our answer here is 16x to the power of 14. The simplified form for minus 2x to the power of 3 y z to the power of 4 to the power of 3 is equal to minus 8 x to the power of 9 y to the power of 3 z to the power of 12. The minus 8 appears because minus 2 to the power of 3 gives me an odd number of negative factors, so the answer is negative as well. A few things you need to look out for. First of all, x plus 5 squared and 5x squared look similar, but they are vastly different. This is a binomial and this is a power of a product. The first one becomes x squared plus 10x plus 25, while the latter turns into 25x to the power of 2. Secondly, in 6x to the power of 2, y to the power of 5 to the power of 8, the 6 is outside the brackets, meaning the 8 doesn't influence him. So our answer is 6x to the power of 16, y to the power of 40. I say this because some people try to calculate 6 to the power of 8 without a calculator. And let me tell you, they are wasting their time. For those who like to know, the answer is 1,679,616. And yes, I did calculate that without a calculator and it still took me too long. So don't go wasting your time and look carefully at the location of any numbers. Last but not least, this is something I also see quite often. When they get the exercise 3x to the power of 4 to the power of 2, they start good, 9x to the power of 8, which is the correct answer. But then they continue by making the same kind of mistake as number 2. They start calculating 9 to the power of 8 and then write 43,046,721x as their answer. So learn from their mistakes and don't make them yourself. Let's say we do one more exercise before we finish this episode. Let's simplify 4 times 2x to the power of 4 y to the power of 5 to the power of 3 minus 3x to the power of 2 y to the power of 3 times minus 6 x to the power of 5 y to the power of 6 to the power of 2. Pause the video if you want to give it a try and keep watching to see how I simplified this expression. So first we're going to take a look at this part of the exercise. When simplified, I have 4 times 8x to the power of 12 y to the power of 15. And this turns into 32x to the power of 12 y to the power of 15. Then this part of the exercise. This turns into minus 6x to the power of 10 y to the power of 12. Now the multiplication of 3x to the power of 2 y to the power of 3 and minus 6x to the power of 10 y to the power of 12. This gives me minus 18 x to the power of 12 y to the power of 15. Because we have a double negative, we receive the line 32 x to the power of 12 y to the power of 15 plus 18 x to the power of 12 y to the power of 15. And as these are like terms, we can add them into 50 x to the power of 12 y to the power of 15. And that's our answer. And now you know how to work with higher powers and how to correctly simplify them. In the next video, I will show you the last operation I haven't used today, dividing powers. I hope to see you next time. Good luck!